Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the March 16th, 2001 Board of Commissioners meeting. Commissioner Williams has the dog today.
Okay, we have a boxer shepherd mixed dog here, and this is an energetic little dog. When I first walked in, it jumped up on me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give him a treat here and without him taking my hand. Come here, her, I should say. Missy? Okay. She actually took it, but the dog's going to be available at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Come in. Take a look at this dog and other dogs as well, and please support the Lorain County Kennel. Thank you.
He's not done eating yet. You gotta wait a while.
We're gonna hold up our meeting for this.
Madam Clerk.
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I want to bring up the transit on here. I noticed there's over $1.1 million. I know the funds go from different revenue sources, but Pam, I see you're back there. I'm going to call you up here. One thing I had a concern about, and I know that it's not coming out of general funds, but we're spending over $23,000 for the wash buses. Can you explain that? And then I would like you to explain the service with Elyria, because there's another $30,000 there.
Okay, the purchase of the bus washer is actually part of when we did the maintenance facility, which was all the recovery funding, so it's 100%. So that is, it's a permanent fixture there. It'll last longer. Long-term expenses will be a lot cheaper because it's a type of system where they don't actually, mess around with it. The soap is measured along with the water.
Right.
So long-term, it'll be cheaper for us.
And how many buses are we going to use? I mean, right now we got, what, 2 routes?
We currently have 12 vehicles within the fleet that get used. It's just, we have vehicles out in the morning, other vehicles out in the afternoon. As far as our service with First Transit, they provide all of the service, all the maintenance, and everything else that comes with the service. And we open, every year we open up a requisition or a purchase order for service for all year. If something changes, then of course the requisition would change as well.
Yeah, I know. The thing that stuck out was almost $500,000 for maintenance on 12 or 11, 12 buses. Do you have the numbers on what that was for the previous years?
I don't have that with me.
Okay.
Our
And there were-
fleet's probably getting a little older, so the older our fleet, the more the maintenance.
Correct.
I don't think we're doing 500,000. I think that's an open PO, isn't it?
Correct, yes.
So I think that's the allocation of the PO, and then they bill back. They bill back what, excuse me, they bill back what the maintenance actually is.
Correct.
So it's not a lump sum payment, but we may want to narrow that a bit. I don't know that we can probably do a quarterly allocation and look more fully at the bills on that.
Sure.
That would be each bus getting over almost what, 45,000. That's pretty high. Maybe we can ask them to take a look and see what they think the actual maintenance. They should have history on those 12 that we're using, and a couple of them are new, right?
They're newer. We do have some 08s out there, but we do have some 2006s that are requiring more maintenance.
Those are probably the paratransit ones, because we replaced the large ones, right?
We still have 6 of the larger vehicles out there. They're the GMs. So those are the ones that are causing some of the issues.
Now,
I had-
the last washing system, that lasted, what, about 15 years?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was a permanent structure as well. My concern is when I see fire departments, a lot of them are using just pressure washers to go through and wash these vehicles. I mean, is the $23,000 really needed for a washer for these?
Hey, we could definitely take a further look at it.
Okay.
Well, it's not general fund money, it's money coming in from the feds, FTA.
And if it's not used, I'm sure it has to be returned and go elsewhere.
Yeah, somebody else will
Yes.
get the bus
Correct.
washer
Let me-
instead of us, and then we'll be paying people to do.
Let me suggest this, just for pressure washing's an option. Excuse me, a little hoarse this morning. Pressure washing's an option, but it's not an option in the wintertime. And that's when we use the drive-through washer. This is a actual setup where the bus drives through the washer. It's like the old one, right, correct?
The bus actually pulls into a garage that's designated.
Right.
And then the washer is on a trolley, and they just go around, and they're brushes that hit the vehicle.
So that we mainly use that in the wintertime for doing that. So the pressure washer when the weather's better, we could obviously do that outside. We have
Right.
plenty of space, but we wouldn't be able to do that in the wintertime with the buses to keep them clean.
Yeah.
So it's, we have some kind of bifurcated process here we need to come up with. And the biggest cleaning season for the buses is
Wintertime with
obviously
salt.
wintertime with all the salt, trying to keep the salt and then the grime off of those buses. So
Yeah, my only concern is I understand that the money's coming from different revenue sources, but as we're seeing in the state too, those sources are drying up.
pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
And my concern is the maintenance on it. How's the maintenance going to be maintained and that? So what I would like to do is actually what Jim recommended is have you go back, take a look at these numbers, and see if you can tighten it up.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I had Pam come in my office yesterday too, because just in today's requisitions, there was over $1 million in expenditures. And we only give 500 with a $500,000 match, but we also have, what, $80,000 in fare boxes? That's also matched by the FTA? Did you
And
come up with?
actually, I took another look at those numbers. I got so many going on. The fare box that we received last year was actually $160,000.
Okay, that's better.
So, yeah. So we get that matched through the federal government.
And then Vermilion matches us and Oberlin matches us, and does Avon still match?
No.
We don't
No.
have Avon currently.
That was just a $60,000 expenditure from us. They didn't match any of that, right?
Well, there was a time they were working with us collaboratively, but it got a little costly, and they weren't able to do
That
that
was
right now.
Avon Lake.
Avon Lake.
Avon
yes.
Lake, okay.
Yes. We had that cooperative agreement to continue at the pick up, the park and ride.
So our 500,000, we should figure that out, how much our 500,000 is actually bringing into the county with all the, you know,
When you say our
Correct.
Yeah,
500,000,
we're not
what
doing
do you-
500,000 general fund, we've only got $100,000 committed out of general fund
Correct.
to transit. We don't have half a million.
Correct. So the 100,000 depends on what pool of money it is. We get 80-20 money for maintenance, I
Yes.
believe, and we get 50-50 money for operations. So depending on which portion of it is spent where will depend on the multiplier that's received by the county. We can probably figure out those numbers by going back and looking at the actual maintenance cost last year versus the actual operation cost. You know, clearly the 160 in the fare box is bringing another 160,000 back. But I will tell you, we're looking at, in fact, Pam and I are working on the brokerage program right now. We received $140,000 in the brokerage program. Now that was over 2 years, it's about $70,000 a year. We haven't been able to exhaust those funds since the routes have slowed down and changed. But we're still using quite a bit of brokerage money, and now we've been notified by the State Department of Transportation that those funds are no longer going to be available. In fact, they're going to shut those funds down, so we're going to be having to look at cuts there. I believe that even though those are ODOT funds, we were able to use them as a match too against the FTA dollars, weren't we? Because it was a state dollars, they didn't originate with the Fed, right?
No, actually, it was separate pots of money. We've been able to use like part of the salary, any of the fringes.
As
We've
a
been
match?
used to do that in order to offset
Okay.
the operating costs for transit.
So we lose those funds plus that leverage. And I think that's going to happen within the next week or so here. The 18th is the meeting, right?
Correct.
So we're trying to get ahead of that and find out if there's going to be any availability, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any availability of replacing that funding. And we're currently running, $4,000 or $5,000 a month out of the brokerage to assist those folks that have a problem paying for their tickets. So I don't know how to replace those dollars either.
Well, I would consider going back and renegotiating the maintenance PO, but put the wash in. It's era money. If we don't use it, we return it.
Correct.
We made a commitment to put the facility up. First Transit is leasing it from us
Yes.
for their maintenance, so that's revenue dollars back in.
I agree.
Okay.
Do you have that, Madam Clerk? We're still going to pass the washing?
I don't have any exemptions at all from the whole board, and Tom just brought up the one, so as of right now, everything's for go,
Oh, okay. All right then.
unless you change.
No. Well, we want to change, let them go back and redo the maintenance.
Right, the five.
The 500,000 for maintenance.
$547,620.
Yeah, pull that, we'll go back and see if we can notch that down based on last year's figures.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second that. Do we already second
We already seconded, we're just adjusting.
amending it?
No.
As far as requisitions?
Well, no, that's it,
Okay.
sorry.
That's the only two?
That's the only two.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kelley, you want to amend your motion?
Yes, I'd like to amend it to go back and renegotiate the maintenance part, but to go forward with the other requisitions.
I'll second as amended.
Any further discussion? Steve, Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Kokoski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Travel?
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Bills?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
Thank you, Commissioner Kalo. I do wish to have an executive session with the board and talk about labor negotiations. I am just not doing well this morning, excuse me. Specifically, the United Steelworkers contract and also the UAW contract that we recently concluded negotiations on, and I need to update you on that, and we need to make some decisions with regard to that when we come back out. Also, potential new hire at Golden Acres. All of those subjects are allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session discussions, so it acts at the conclusion of regular board meeting today. We go into executive session and have those talks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a problem with your clerk, madam? Clerk?
You want to share mine with me?
It's broke.
It said that it's not on, and it's working on the walls.
Do you have a, is the green light on?
The green light's on.
No, it's not.
Oh, it looks like somebody cut it.
Oh, boy, we got to lock both doors now.
Great.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of March 9, 2011.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
One of you used a portable mic.
Good idea.
Authorize County and Public Employees Days at Cedar Point for 2011. Tickets will be $37 versus $46.99 for adults, $18 versus $21 for juniors and seniors, 62 and older. Children under 2 are free, and Soak City tickets are $24.99 versus $29.99. Tickets can be purchased by money order in the purchasing department. Employees, family, and friends, to include Community Alliance and all other members of county board and agency, can purchase these tickets.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Accept petition filed on February 25, 2011 from LaGrange Township Trustees requesting the Board of Commissioners to clean and improve the Hastings Ditch from State Route 301 to Webster Road. Viewing has been scheduled for April 11th at 10 a.m. Hearing will be held on April 26th at 9:30 and published notice on March 28th, April 4th, and residents will be notified on March 21st.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Solid Waste, approve request of Lorain County Health, Inc., an NPO located in St. Joe's Community Center, Lorain, to receive 24 refurbished computers. This will provide educational assistance to the developmental challenge and to handicapped senior citizens in their ability to learn basic skills in computer training.
Mr. Bailey?
Good morning.
Morning.
What I have before you today, Mr. Roby's here, and they're wanting to put a computer lab in the 5th floor, is it, Todd?
No, actually, it's going to be on the first floor.
First floor for the disabled people, and I'll let him talk about your program a little bit, but there's 24 refurbished PCs we'll be providing up there, all right?
Okay.
Hey there.
Good morning,
Good
Todd.
morning.
We're doing a lot of work at St. Joe's. Basically, we started Lorain County Health out of the old Lorain Catholic High School. We're assisting young entrepreneurs starting their businesses, and not on the level that the Glide program is. That seems like big business to us. We're helping young guys start landscaping businesses. We're helping them start t-shirt businesses. We've got some of them that are doing computer businesses, things like that. In addition to that, we're helping some of the local nonprofits as well as some of the local for-profits. That's all moved over into the St. Joe's building. We're just a little less than 2 years old right now. We've been able to assist in creating at least 42 jobs out of out of St. Joe's in the last 6 months. So, I mean, we're rocking and rolling. The computers are going to be used for not only for the developmentally disabled folks, but we've got some senior citizens that we're taking care of. We've got some veterans that are coming in. We've got some veterans that are coming in that are in transition, meaning they're coming home from Iraq, they're coming home from Afghanistan, and they need not only somewhere to stay, but they also need to learn how to get back in this job market because they're coming home to nothing. So some of these computers are going to be used for them also.
Wonderful. Good job, Todd.
When you say they need someplace to stay, are they staying there?
Well, actually, we're brokering a deal through South Shore. I'm involved in about 4 different companies
Okay.
in St. Joe's right now. We're brokering a deal with a company called Freedom House, who will be moving into the 5th floor, and Freedom House will house these veterans, and then we're going to make some of these computers accessible to them.
Hoping
Awesome.
sometime by fall, correct?
Yeah, most definitely.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Very
Thank
good
you so
job
much.
over there.
Good. Love the job creation, too. 42 jobs.
We have to. The healthcare businesses that we're starting are they're flourishing.
Good. Did you have anything else, Mr. Bailey?
Connect your community. Our first distribution went down last week. In 3 days, we distributed 204 computers to the people that completed the classes. So that process has started, and it took us 3 days to get them out there, and we were done with that class.
Fantastic.
Next class is 400 and some, I'm hearing, so
Beautiful.
double.
Good job.
Yep.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
You have to make a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Anything further?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertised bids for Island Road resurfacing project, Eaton Township, notice to be in the Chronicle on March 18th to 25th, and April 1st, and open at 2 p.m. and April 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, actually, well, we got this up here. Through the 29-page Jobs Ohio that I read, I don't know if you got through that yet, Mr. Cortez, or the clerk. It's going to say they're not going to require newspaper advertising anymore.
Nice.
That we're going to be able to do it through the State of Ohio website for all public notices.
I've been reading on it. I don't think it's completely done yet, though. I talked to CCO yesterday about it, so
Okay.
we're kind of still looking
It's
at
going to
it.
save us a ton of money.
Well, I'll
But
be doing
still
Columbus Friday.
Federal money,
Mhm.
still you have to advertise 3 times no matter what.
In the
So
newspaper?
They
Okay.
haven't changed the federal side yet.
Okay,
Just the
well,
state
that's why I figured
government.
I'd bring it up while we had the first one out, because I shared that with Mr. Dickin yesterday.
Hmm.
All
Aw.
right,
Gonna have to take a pay cut, Brad.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator.
No additional comments this morning, thank you.
Mr. Innes, Assistant County Prosecutor.
Commissioners, I have one matter of imminent litigation that I would like to discuss with the Commissioners in executive session.
Commissioners report.
I have no comments this morning.
well, to start out with, we've got an immediate news release from Tom Kelley, our EMA Director. Dumpsters are going to be made available to Lorain County residents to dispose of flood damaged materials. 2 locations have been selected to allow Lorain County residents to dispose of household materials that were damaged or destroyed during the severe flooding that occurred over the past 2 weeks. 2 Lorain County businesses, Sugar Ridge Incorporated of Carlisle Township and Cooper Disposal of Avon, have been selected to provide equipment and manpower for this free event. Locations, dates, and times are as follows. Lorain County Community College, Friday, March 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, March 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and also Lorain County Joint Vocational School, Friday, March 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, March 19th, from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. The event is for Lorain County residents only. A form of picture ID with address will be required. No contractors. Dumpsters will be available for appliances, which will be recycled. Household items such as drywall, carpet, wood, and furniture can be disposed of also. Computers and other electronics, along with any hazardous materials, will not be accepted at the sites. These items can be disposed of at the Lorain County Recycling Center on Abbey Road in Elyria. Residents can check the county website at www.loraincounty.us for times of center operation. This event is being funded by a grant from Lorain County Solid Waste Management District, which Keith and I spoke about last week, and is being operated in conjunction with Lorain County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Contact person is Tom Kelley. His phone number is 440-329-5117.
What about large TVs? Do you know if those are going to be accepted? Because I know we don't accept them at the collection center at
We
this
don't
point.
accept them at collection center because of the weight factor.
Right, what about
And
here?
if they're flood damaged TVs, they will be accepted.
If they can get them in the dumpster, we'll take them.
Okay.
The dumpster's not restricted, and, you know, I want to point out, now that Ted read the press release, that, you know, the solid waste plan called for this.
Is that the 25,000 that we talked about last
Yes.
week?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
So
I
it
asked
is-
if it was going to help the residents, and we said no, so now it is. Last
Now
week I
we're
read
going to,
how much
yeah.
it would cost somebody to take it to the landfill, and so
Well,
this will be free.
Tom Kelley and Keith have been working on this for a bit of time now, trying to get this coordinated with the massive amount of dumpsters we needed, so, but there is funds available to aid in this type of disaster. It's a line item in the solid waste plan. It's a good coming together of the EMA and the solid waste department to aid those residents that have been affected by this flooding. But anything that they can get in the dumpster, we'll take. I just would like to say, please don't just bring your routine stuff down to the dumpsters. This is for those people that have a need of assistance because they were flooded out. It's not just for every resident just to decide to get rid of their garbage in their yard.
Well, it was nice that we got to take it from just public use only, as originally stated, and we were able to use it here to put it at a couple of sites so people can bring their own
Right.
stuff, so
Right.
it worked out.
All right.
Also, I had the opportunity, I'd like to thank President Krislov and Sandra Hodge and P.J. Carter from Oberlin College. Got the opportunity to attend a dinner and a get-together with General Anthony Zinni, retired general, who is really involved with military acquisition of products for a company called BAE. Mike Winius from ADI Wind and AEM, which is a manufacturer here in Lorain County, joined me. So, I mean, I hope we made some good contacts there. It was very interesting to hear the general's views. He's been retired since 2000, and they had a stack of stars there. There were 3 or 4 other generals, colonels. I mean, it was quite and actually I get to sit with Dr. Mattis was sitting next to me. So, also in regards to Governor Kasich's budget, because I'm sure that should be our main topic of discussion, we were sent out a 29-page report as to how we're going forward, and that's accessible for just about anyone. The jobs budget, I'm sure if you go online, but meeting with the budget director and the county administrator, looking forward at cuts, I put together some proposed cuts for the commissioners to look at and to please be routed to the other elected officials. I spoke to a couple of them, anywhere from a 3% cut to the rest of this year's budget to 10%. So if we can get that forwarded out to the commissioners. And Jim, do we have copies to share with?
I have copies.
Okay. That we can share with Commissioner Kokoski and Commissioner Williams to start looking at how we're going to balance the budget through the end of the year looking into 2012. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Got a chance to talk with some people at the airport. We are running into some issues out there that I don't want to have the same thing happen that happened to our parking garage with the runway striping becoming an issue and the resurfacing there. We're going to have to take a look at trying to get some funding on there. They believe there is some grants available, 95%, that would be available for safety. Something we're going to have to look at, or we're going to start losing business out there as well, which one of them being possibly Metro. So it's just something that I'd like to get with Mr. Cortez.
We're ready in the queue for the striping.
Okay.
The taxiway striping is and repair isn't really our issue. It's the main runway striping.
Right.
That's huge. Very, very expensive. The match there is, in years gone by, would not have been as substantial as it looks today, given the reductions. But we do have money, and we're also, when I say we have money, we have access to the 95% money. We're in our last year of roll-up with the FAA. They give us $150,000 a year that has to be matched for capital improvement. We've been rolling that up a number of years, and we're in our last year roll-up. This year, if we don't do projects, we don't roll up, we roll out. We lose that money, and every year thereafter until we start spending down. So we do have to do the projects. We do have most of the preliminary work done, and the only thing that's delaying us is getting a commitment from the board to match what's probably going to be about, I'd say, $150,000, $190,000 worth of work.
Right, and with that
5%
money,
of the 150, or 150 is the match?
No, that would be the cost of the work.
Because
to
we
get
spent
that.
3 years ago money.
Right, we're able to roll about 4 years worth of
Right.
funding.
So
So
that's
we
the
have
roll-up.
almost 600,000 queued.
So a $10,000 appropriation as match money would let us spend the $190,000 approximately.
Right, we could spend any amount of that money right now. We just have to submit for the project and submit the engineering to the FAA and get their approval, which shouldn't take very long. They're a little concerned about the stripes, and we also have some issues with a few trees out there that, do what trees naturally do, have grown a little tall around the airport and become a bit of a problem. So that Commissioner Williams right, and we definitely have a few issues there at the airport that need to be addressed.
I think we have a few issues everywhere in the county that need to be addressed but need match money.
I will also tell you that I've been working with a potential group that wants to infuse money in the FBO and bring some private jets here. I spoke with them again yesterday. I have a couple business plans and some things they want to do, and I'm waiting now on exactly what kind of relationship they'd like to have with space at the airport and the FBO, and how that can be incorporated in with the current FBO operator. It looks good. It may produce something for us. I hope to be firmer on my understanding of that in the next couple of weeks, but we've been working on this now for probably about 2 or 3 months. So there may be some potential there. We're not going to get anybody there if there's no stripes on the runway and they run in the trees coming and going.
Yeah, I've been talking with some individuals as well, and what they're looking for is a commitment from the commissioners that we're going to keep the airport open, not that we have a choice on this.
No, we did
we
that
don't.
dog and pony show
Right.
a couple years ago. We're not going
And,
through that again.
you know, just so the public understands, is that that airport was purchased. We did receive money, federal money for this, so we have to keep that airport open. And I know some people are against it. They'd rather see the money going into different projects, but we are accountable for it, and the only thing that we can do is try to make it as revenue neutral as possible. We know that transit's never going to, or transportation never makes a profit, but get as close as possible to revenue neutral. So thanks, Jim, for that, and I'll have to get with you on the businesses.
Great. Then I'll be sharing some of the business plans with the board, but it's confidential at this point because we're still
Okay.
negotiating. The other issues is I'll pull up what we've submitted for with the FAA and show you what the match needs to be, specifically those what I want to call critical items that need to be done. But we've delayed because of match monies. And for the record, the county's commitment to the airport right now is about $50,000 a year. So we've cut back from times when they were getting 6, 7, 800,000 a year to 50,000, and we're growing corn on the roof and selling the acorns from the trees and everything else out there. So we really have trimmed to the point where operations are significantly affected. Also raised fees on the folks out there. Now I gave you the airport operating standards this year, and I did not recommend a fee increase this year because I felt that they had come to the table previously and were sharing in the operations of that airport. So it's not the huge subsidy that they used to get out there that they're operating on. I think that's important to share with the public.
Well, yeah, I believe some of the people that are using the airport had seen up to a 10% increase as well. So
There were some sizable increases, yes, sir.
and there are some jobs being created out there.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get a cost of striping and sealing out there already?
I just don't have it with me. We do have that, and we have the preliminary work done.
Is it to the 150, or is that just the number that we have to
I pulled
use
it off.
up
I
before
pulled
we
it off
lose
the top of my head. We had a couple projects. I know that we were in the 150, 190,000 range with a couple projects. I got to see which ones were the taxiways, which ones were the runways. So I'm ballparking here because I didn't expect this to come up. So I'll pull up the data. And just another piece of information before somebody says, we cannot just send the maintenance guys out there with a bucket
No.
of yellow paint.
We can't even
And-
send
and
Kearney's guys out there as good as they know how to do those things.
This is
too.
particular striping and materials and things that are used to last, and so I just don't want to get an email that says, hey, why don't you go out there with a bucket of yellow paint and paint the stripes. It's just not going to work that way.
Well, if we're going to come up to match, maybe we have to pick someplace else to cut. I mean, let's be honest about it, guys.
You're right.
You
And
got to pick someplace else to cut, and you have to prioritize. I mean, your proposal 2 weeks ago was to cut transit by 20 or 50,000.
Right.
Who do you serve more, the people at the airport or the people using transit every day? I mean,
well,
we're brass tacks. We just got the governor's budget. I've been asking for cuts. Where you guys want to see them at that are significant cuts, and I put together what I thought might be doable in saying the other elected officials, but I haven't seen any proposals back. So I'm kind of asking, where are we going to take from and what are we going to do with to do
Well-
things like the airport if we're cutting transit also and the other entities that we've cut?
Well,
We did a major cutting going
Well,
into this year.
Well, I think, Ted, I think everybody in this room knows I've been saying that we need to go through and do cuts. And for you to say that you gave me something showing me that you're
No, I
making
didn't. No,
cut-
we've got them.
Okay.
I've been asking
Okay.
for proposals back. Where are we going to come up with these
Right,
dollars
and we're
to
talking
make
about
it 2 or
doing,
3 million?
we're talking about doing that at the end of the month. I think what we actually need to do is have an open forum and do the cuts right here. Go through what's mandated, and then take everything else and start at cutting at the bottom.
Well,
That's what we're gonna
asking.
have to do.
That's fine, we can schedule that for next week, but I would like to send this out to public officials, and Jim will have the paperwork for you guys
Okay.
today. But yeah, we've got to find places that we're gonna make the permanent cuts to do
Right.
these other fixes and prioritize what they are.
Right, but the thing that we have to remember is if we don't do this for the airport, we are going to lose revenue coming in from that airport. So, yeah, it's,
Yeah, no different than with our other dollars. I understand that. Just a matter, we gotta make those decisions and get them done in
Right.
2 weeks, because our permanent budget's due.
And you said you've had trouble finding somebody to appraise Green Acres?
I sent you guys an email. I'm not sure if it's because of the uniqueness of the property. I'm trying to get a little bit more information on that, but we have contacted quite a few people, and there's been a reluctancy to come out and try to appraise that facility. We haven't given up. We'll find somebody to do it.
What does Mark Stewart have it valued at? Do you know offhand?
I'm assuming that it's not valued because we weren't paying taxes on it, so it may not have a valuation. Quite frankly, I didn't look it up.
Okay.
Normally, we don't pay taxes on our property because they're exempted. And I know that property's been in county possession for decades, so it's never been probably evaluated. Would that sound about right, Craig?
Shrug his shoulders, he doesn't know.
Well, we would probably have a two-parcel number. One would be exempt value, so that we should have a value out there.
I'll take
Craig
a look.
Snodgrass said we should have a value. Hale's yelling in the back. Get him up to the microphone. So we'll look at that and
He has a tie on today, too.
at
We
least
should have made
there's
him
a
come up
starting
here.
point. Did you think you were going to be on? Did you want to come up with your tie on today?
Actually, I was talking with Craig last night about the budget, and then he and Lisa and I again this morning, so what the
Yeah.
heck, we'll have some dialogue on that.
All dressed up and know where to go?
Lots of places to go, no time to do it, though. Yes, Commissioners, you are right there. Normally, on a exempt parcel, we would have two numbers. One would be showing zero value, because that's what would be the taxable value, or which would be zero. And then we would have an exempt parcel number, which would have our auditor's value on it. Again, though, our valuation and another appraiser's valuation might be, they'll look at it two different ways. But there are plenty of other appraisers that we're aware of, Jim, if you need some other names.
Yeah, we may need that. We've been turned down, I think I wrote 11 times by 11 different appraisers. I'm a little bit surprised. We didn't just go to 2 or 3. It was quite a few of them. And I'm not sure why they don't want, there was been a reluctance to appraise that property. We'll get some. I was just sharing with the board that we have been working on it and just didn't come.
Because certainly with our experience through the board of revision process, we get a lot of different appraisers that might have specialty
Great.
Areas in that. So, okay.
Thank you.
I sent that to you just to let you know we're working
Right.
we're working on that project.
Okay.
that was the end of my report, too. Yeah.
Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
I'll second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to address the board, Mr. Ashenhurst?
You didn't
Good
waste
morning,
any time getting up
Commissioners.
there.
David Ashenhurst, Oberlin. Did we hear you do number 10?
Number 10.
Approve and waive the reading of the
Yes?
same? Yeah,
Okay, I didn't, somehow I missed it.
you were napping.
No, I was reading ahead. And really, the only other thing, actually, two things. One is, I don't know what an FBO is. I
Sorry
know
about that. We get warned about the alphabet soup up here all the time. Fixed-based operation. That would be your maintenance and fueling facilities and larger hangar facilities that are professionally managed for storage of larger planes. We do have some small hangars that we lease and rent out that we own, which are called T hangars or condo hangars. And then, of course, there is some privately held hangars out there that folks have that they've built themselves on leased land. And without a fixed base operation, you cannot do repair work and fuel work and so forth. Some of the smaller airports that don't have an FBO have a kind of self-serve fueling facility, but we're fortunate we have an operator that does the fueling out there. And they've been out there a couple of years. That was one of the privatization moves we made for first for the FBO, and then some years later for management of the airport itself.
Thank you. And also, given when this is going to be on the air, I'm just a little concerned that these dumpsters, the notice about that dumpster is for this Friday and Saturday. So by the time people even see this, to the extent they watch it, they're going to have to get out there within 4 hours.
So there's a news release, so they'll go to the press.
Okay.
So.
I'm just wondering if it couldn't go one other week, especially if we keep getting rain. I mean, if
As
summer...
Keith Bailey said, it's all about the dollars, David.
Don't we have any spots on the radio that we can plug this information into?
I don't have any available right now.
Right.
We're certainly willing to go out and plug and we get some public service announcements.
How about a
So-
public service announcement? Yeah, cool, thank you.
There we go. OBL took care of us.
Everybody will know about it. We'll just give it to Kelly and she'll tweet it and do whatever she does.
Yeah, Kelly,
out
start
there.
tweeting on your Facebook.
Brad's like, what about me?
Brad's like, I'm getting a pay cut, forget about it.
Yeah, Brad's still using 2 Dixie cups and a string. Kelly's connected.
Anyone else wishing to address the board? Make a motion, move an executive session as outlined by the county administrator and county prosecutor.
Second?
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
How about a little trash talk about Lorain County Solid Waste Collection Center in Elyria? The Collection Center makes it easy for Lorain County residents with ID to get rid of stuff you don't want going into a landfill. Stuff like hazardous waste, acids, household bleach, oven cleaners, antifreeze, paint, herbicides. Take it to the Collection Center. It's a drive-through, so it's easy to get rid of scrap tires, even if they're on the rims. The Collection Center also takes e-scrap like computers and monitors, circuit boards, microwave ovens, smoke detectors, even household TVs up to 27 inches. No console models, fluorescent lights and ballasts, reference materials and books, fire extinguishers, all kinds of stuff. Drive through, drop off. Just don't bring curbside recyclables, explosives, medical waste, radioactive materials. For what's accepted and not accepted, visit loraincounty.us/solid waste. The Collection Center near Big Lots at 540 South Abbey Road in Elyria is a service of the Lorain County Solid Waste District, the Department of the Lorain County Commissioners.
Pedestrian injuries represent the second largest number in motor-related deaths. In the current report by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, of the 812 traffic fatalities for children ages 5 to 9, almost one-third, that's 254, were pedestrian fatalities. These numbers were just very staggering to me in this office. Most of these were from pedestrian crossings, children not educated in crossing streets where there are sidewalks and obviously stoplights, or where there are no sidewalks and there are stop signs. So basically, it was based on the fact that they aren't getting proper education, or they hadn't any education on how to cross streets with sidewalks or without sidewalks. So that's what really got us motivated to look into this and do something about it.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the streets safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations and educate these children on crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce that.
Most of our workshop was developed and made in-house. Simulated sidewalks, simulated streets. We have actual working stoplights, the pedestrian crossing signs that actually work, operational railroad crossings. We also have the regular road signs like your pedestrian crossing, your stop sign, your railroad sign. So we have all of these different things that the children can not only visualize, but then we actually interact the children in those situations so they can not only see but they can use these in their learning abilities on how to cross the streets with and without sidewalks. We've had so many good responses back from the children, and of course it's just like anything else with children. When you ask for volunteers, when you're talking in a group of 60 and you can only have 8, it's amazing at the hands that go up. You know, does anybody want to volunteer? Well, everybody wants to volunteer. We make them go over these skills that we're trying to teach them, not only the volunteers but the group as a whole. So basically we have the whole class interacting. So if they say left, right, left, behind you, in front of you once, they say it at least 8 or 10 times before the workshop is over. So we've had many teachers and many principals tell us, and we even had one child that came up to us and said, you know what, Miss Spansky, we were going to cross the street the other day and we remembered, look left, look right, look left. So that was very rewarding. And so I think the repetition, the interaction with the children and with the items in our workshop is very important to them and to us. Before you even go into the safety part of it, they're in awe over the traffic light, and then our railroad crossing signals actually work. So they're just like, oh, ooh. And we get up there and we tell them, and we even give them some trick questions. You know, we'll say, well, we can see that train all the way down the track. Do you think we can make it, because you're fast and I'm fast and we can run? And of course they're very enthusiastic and no, we shouldn't do this. So we teach them that in some urban areas you will not have the gates that come down to keep you actually from crossing, that you may just have 2 sets of tracks, and just because one goes by and the signals stop doesn't mean that another one can't come from the other direction. So we tell them it's very, very imperative that they stay back from the tracks and they wait till those signals stop and to look both ways. And even once those signals stop, to look both ways, and they should never run across the railroad tracks. They should walk and continue to look both ways, because it's not safe and they could fall, they could injure themselves. If they're alone, if they're not with someone, it could be very dangerous, because not only could they injure themselves, they may not have help if there is a train coming, because they are so small. And as you know, some of those tracks are very large, and you're talking in kindergarten through 4th grade, some of those children are very small children. The main thing is that we tell them that only you know when it's safe. You have to make that ultimate decision. So make sure that you know that it's safe before you cross those railroad tracks or a street. One of the other things that we cover in the safety workshop, and it's also repeated in our video, children don't have that perception of the miles per hour. It's very dangerous. And the same thing with trains. We tell them that train could take, you know, forever. It's way down there, but we don't know the actual miles per hour. We decided to use videos. The first one is geared for kindergarten and 1st grade, and that is Otto the Otto, put out by AAA.
Hi, kids. A lot of times you have to walk to get to places. And when you're walking, you have to be especially careful of cars and bicycles. Oh, no! Those kids are walking the wrong way! That's dangerous. I'm going to talk with these kids. Down at the clubhouse, they're talking about the safe way to walk on streets without sidewalks.
I say you can walk across the street anywhere you want, as long as you look first. And don't get squished flat by a car. That's a fairly simple way of looking at safety. There are actual rules and laws for walking. Yeah, but the most important one is you don't get squished flat. Who's right, Maggie? Patrick or us?
I guess in a sense everyone's right. The main idea is to get there safely, but there are some rules to help you get there safely. like don't run out into the street without looking.
The second video, we show 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. And it is put together by the National Safety Council along with Honda. And they developed the first humanoid robot.
Hey, Osmo. What's up, Osmo? How's it going? Osmo, this is Michael. Michael, this is Osmo.
How come you dressed in a robot suit? It's not a suit. I'm a real robot. My name, Osimo, stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility. I'm the world's most advanced humanoid robot. I can walk forwards, backwards, and even climb stairs just like a human. So, what's the first rule about crossing the street?
Stopping at curbs.
Correct. First, always stop at the curb. Then make sure no cars are coming. You want to look left.
It's clear.
Then right to see if any cars are coming from the other direction.
That's clear too.
Cars move fast. There might already be a new car to the left. So look left again.
Car coming.
See what I mean?
Okay, he's gone.
Kids love this. They relate to Osmo as well as the younger children relate to Otto, who is an animated automobile. And he tells them about crossing streets. Osmo does the same thing, and he actually goes through with the children and tells them how to cross the street at an intersection with a traffic light, with the pedestrian crossing. He also teaches them how to cross because a lot of children at schools have parked cars. He goes over the issues of how to cross when there are parked cars. So he does a number of different things, how to cross the street when there are no sidewalks. So they both cover the basic skills. One is just geared a little bit more for the different age groups.
I think it was really nice because they had a real life robot talk to you about safety, and you got to actually do what he said was safe. He said when there are parked cars to make sure there are no drivers in before you cross the street.
It's a good idea because, like I said, the kids could walk through the whole process of crossing streets with the crosswalk, without a crosswalk, at the intersection. What happens if you're crossing in between two parked cars? Those are things that parents don't teach their kids. They go to Safety Town and they learn left, look right, look left again, and they go. And even my own son, who's a kindergartner, he just did Safety Town, and I still catch him flying across the street. And all I have to do is say, Matthew, remember Osmo? And he stops and he thinks and he does all the steps that he was taught in the video.
It was a great refresher, especially for them, now knowing, what to do and kind of even additional things that they may not have been told or considered before.
Most of the kids did their little safety program back when they were getting ready to go to kindergarten. They start out learning all those safety rules. Then as time goes on, if you don't reinforce those safety rules and keep telling them, just like we do as adults, we think we're safe. We don't have to follow those rules anymore. We can do what we want. We can take a chance and run across the road. And I think this program was very good at reinforcing the fact that even though we're growing up, we still have to be careful. We still have to follow the signs. We still have to follow the railroad crossings, especially around here in Amherst. We tend to have a little trouble with the railroad crossings and kids wanting to play on them. So I think it was a good review. I think it was done in a fun, learning way, and the kids really enjoyed it. We were very happy to have everyone here at St. Joseph's School.
In 2009, Mr. Carney felt that if we expanded the program and went into the technological era, that we could cover more schools and help more students. We felt that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders would get much more out of it and enjoy it if it was on a computer. We use one disc that's called Walk Smart for 2nd and 3rd graders. It teaches the children where to walk. It teaches them things that they should know about traffic signals. And the third part of it is watching for cars. The 4th grade disc is called Safer Journey. That is in a 3-part section with a 4th part that's added called Library, so that if they want to go back in as 4th graders and actually look up anything that they just viewed, it will give them a description. Each one allows the student to interact on the computer individually.
While you move the mouse back and forth. Try it.
We thought the student will look at it, because they love to work on computers, so that they would look at it as fun and a game, and each student can work at their own level or at their own pace. Our response has been amazing.
They enjoy being on the computer, so I think just by clicking and being able to listen and observe those things, it's more interactive with them. This program is teaching the skills of being more observant as they're crossing the street and being more aware of what's going on around them.
It makes me work harder. We have to guess if the cars can come from which way. Gets my brain on learning. It helps me learn how to cross streets and how to watch for cars.
You have to look both ways when you go across the street and everything, because it would actually teach me something.
You know, sometimes we just think that students know exactly where they should be walking. There's a sidewalk, and we know that they should cross at the light and look both ways.
It tells you what to do and what not to do in the street.
This just reinforces, because sometimes the students don't know all of those things. They haven't always been taught. They are much better off for being part of the program.
If it saves one life, we feel like we've made a contribution. It's our way to give back to the communities.
Carpooling, a great way to save on fuel, tolls, and parking. Serving 13 counties, secure and safe Ohio rideshare makes it easy to connect with carpool partners safely. You control information shared. Discuss your destinations and needs through our safe site. Carpooling reduces pollution and traffic congestion, while it lowers stress and gives riders time to read, work, sleep, socialize. 1-800-825-RIDE or register online at ohiorideshare.com. Point, click, ride. Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the March 16th, 2011 Board of Commissioners meeting. Commissioner Williams has the dog today.
Okay, we have a boxer shepherd mixed dog here, and this is an energetic little dog. When I first walked in, it jumped up on me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give him a treat here without him taking my hand. Come here, I should say. Is he? Okay. She actually took it, but the dog's going to be available at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Come in. Take a look at this dog and other dogs as well, and please support the Lorain County Kennel. Thank you.
He's not done eating yet. You gotta wait a while.
We're gonna hold up our meeting for this.
Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bill.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I want to bring up the transit on here. I noticed there was over $1.1 million. I know the funds go from different revenue sources, but Pam, I see you're back there. I'm going to call you up here. One thing I had a concern about, and I know that it's not coming out of general funds, but we're spending over $23,000 for the wash buses. Can you explain that? And then I would like you to explain the service with the Lyria, because there's another $30,000 there.
Okay, the purchase of the bus washer is actually part of when we did the maintenance facility, which is all the recovery funding, so it's 100%. So that is, it's a permanent fixture there. It'll last longer. Long-term expenses will be a lot cheaper because it's a type of system where they don't actually, mess around with it. The soap is measured along with the water.
Right.
So long-term, it'll be cheaper for us.
And how many buses are we going to use? I mean, right now we got, what, 2 routes?
We currently have 12 vehicles within the fleet that get used. It's just, we have vehicles out in the morning, other vehicles out in the afternoon. As far as our service with First Transit, they provide all of the service, all the maintenance, and everything else that comes with the service. And we open, every year we open up a requisition or a purchase order for service for all year. If something changes, then of course the requisition would change as well.
Yeah, I know. The thing that stuck out was almost $500,000 for maintenance on 12 buses. Do you have the numbers on what that was for the previous years?
I don't have that with me.
Okay.
Our fleet's probably getting a little older, so the older our fleet, the more the maintenance.
Correct.
I don't think we're doing 500,000. I think that's an open PO, isn't it?
Correct, yes.
So I think that's the allocation of the PO, and then they bill back. They bill back what, excuse me, they bill back what the maintenance actually is.
Correct.
So it's not a lump sum payment, but we may want to narrow that a bit. I don't know that we can probably do a quarterly allocation and look more fully at the bills on that.
Sure.
That would be each bus getting over almost 45,000.
Right.
That's pretty high. Maybe we can ask them to take a look and see what they think the actual maintenance. They should have history on those 12 that we're using, and a couple of them are new, right?
They're newer. We do have some 08s out there, but we do have some 2006s that are requiring more maintenance.
Those probably the paratransit ones, because we replaced the large ones, right?
We still have 6 of the larger vehicles out there. They're the GMs. So those are the ones that are causing some of the issues.
Okay. Now the last washing system, that lasted what, about 15 years?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was a permanent structure as well. My concern is when I see fire departments, a lot of them are using just pressure washers to go through and wash these vehicles. I mean, is the $23,000 really needed for a washer for these?
Hey, we could definitely take a further look at it.
Okay.
Well, it's not general fund money. It's money coming in from the feds, FTA.
And if it's not used, I'm sure it has to be returned and go elsewhere.
Yeah, somebody else will get the bus washer instead of us, and then we'll be paying people to do.
Let me suggest this, just for Pressure washing is an option. Excuse me, a little hoarse this morning. Pressure washing is an option, but it's not an option in the wintertime. And that's when we use